U.S. elections this week, it has primarily been about the Democrats because of the Democratic National Convention that officially chose Joe Biden as their presidential candidate, making Kamala Harris his running mate. In a first, it was held in a virtual format with top Democratic leaders coming out and endorsing the Biden-Harris duo, as also we saw a lot of performances from various artists.
Thank you very, very much. From the bottom of my heart, thank you all. It means the world to me and my family.
There were some speakers who completely stole the show. The Obamas certainly come to mind, particularly Barack Obama. The theme of the DNC was to run down the presidency of Donald Trump. But Trump responded to each jibe of theirs with one of his own.
But more than anything,
while everyone was at it, Obama also did not hold back.
This president and those in power, those who benefit from keeping things the way they are counting on your cynicism. They know they can't win you over with their policies. So they're hoping to make it as hard as possible for you to vote and to convince you that your vote does not matter. That is how they win. That is how they get to keep making decisions that affect your life and the lives of the people you love.
Obama's speech received a strong reaction from President Trump.
And when I look at what we have, and I look at how bad he was, how ineffective a president he was so ineffective, so terrible, slowest growing recovery in the history, I guess, since 1929 on the economy. Don't forget, until the China virus came in, we had the greatest economy in the history of the world, and now we're doing it again.
I wish Donald Trump knew how to be
Another star speaker, former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, reminded the people the need to vote. A sour point for the Democrats and personally for her was that in 2016, despite winning popular votes, she lost the election.
And don't forget, Joe and Kamala can win by 3 million votes and still lose. Take it from me. So we need numbers overwhelming so Trump can't sneak or steal his way to victory.
Presidential elections are decided by capturing majority of the United States' 538 electoral votes. Trump had soundly defeated Clinton by garnering 304 of the votes as opposed to 227 of Clinton. Each state is given a share of the 538 electoral votes based on its population to ensure proper representation. The totals range from California's 55 to a number of states with only 3 votes. Similarly, Hillary won more votes overall and had clearly defeated Trump on the popular front, but a multitude of them came from the same few states like California and New York, while Trump's grand total of votes was spread more evenly throughout the country and he won many more states, albeit often by a slim margin. This time, because of the coronavirus pandemic and how the Trump administration has managed or could not manage the entire situation, the issues and agenda would be vastly different. With Kamala Harris by Joe Biden's side, one will have to see how the Democrats consolidate the African and the Indian vote bank.
We must elect a president who will bring something different, something better, and do the important work. A president who will bring all of us together, Black, white, Latino, Asian, Indigenous, to achieve the future we collectively want. We must elect Joe Biden.
The team has been firmed up on the Democratic front, and Trump is leaving no stone unturned to get back at them. This is the final stretch, and the fun has only begun. On the spotlight this week is an exclusive conversation with Sabrina Singh, who has been appointed press secretary to Kamala Harris. She also has a rich legacy behind her. Her grandfather, J J Singh, was the man because of whom Indians can immigrate to the United States of America. Today, she's breaking yet another glass ceiling by ensuring an Indian American gets elected to one of the top positions in the United States of America. Take a listen. The United States of America, the elections this time around, is seeing a lot of firsts a lot of historic moments for the Indian community, particularly so from Kamala Harris to yet another first, the first Indian American to be the press secretary of a VP nominee of a major political party. Sabrina Singh joins us. Many thanks for joining us, Sabrina. Many congratulations. I know that both of you, Kamala Harris, the amount I've read and seen her, and you share the same kind of values when it comes to family as well. So she speaks of her chitti, her uncles, her parents, her mother particularly. You've spoken and you've written and you've tweeted about your parents and your grandfather. Tell us a little more about the historic legacy that you carry. Not many people know that you're the granddaughter of J J Singh, who turned things around for Indians wanting to go to America.
Yes, and it's as you said, you know, my grandfather and I think my family, my uncles, my aunts, my mom and dad especially have been such an inspiration, and you know, they've really been the inspiration for me in terms of they've always encouraged me to give back and pursue what I've wanted to do with my career. As you mentioned, my grandfather was someone that sought for Indians to gain citizenship here in the U.S. And you know, was very active during his time in terms of fighting for freedom for Indians. And it's strange to think that you know, that I would be here in this position today, but he certainly left really big shoes to fill, and so I'm honored to follow in his footsteps.
Now, shifting focus to particularly India-US relations and looking at how a Republican government, how a Democratic government, would look like for India, and a shift from the also very good partnership that we see between India and the United States of America right now. In terms of ideology, when it comes to certain areas, particularly to do with human rights, she is an activist, Kamala Harris. How does that and how will that be carried? Because we've seen her statements on certain issues to do with human rights, particularly Kashmir and CAA. How do you see that translate into impacting ties between India and the United States of America?
Well, you know, I think a Biden-Harris administration certainly sees India as a partner. I think the U.S. has a lot of work to do when it comes to restoring our presence and our reputation on the world stage. But Joe Biden made it very clear, I think, when he said that the U.S.-India partnership is a priority for his administration. We know that Indian Americans and Asian Americans within the U.S. are the highest growing population, or the fastest growing population, I should say, within the U.S. This is a population that is diverse, that is in so many different states across the South and on the coast. And so strengthening that partnership will also just strengthen our country. And I think that under a Biden-Harris administration, what you're going to see is more work together, but also there has to be accountability, there has to be responsibility. And so I think one of the things that a priority that Joe Biden has said on the campaign trail a few times is that, you know, we have to get the U.S. back into the Paris climate agreements. That is something that, you know, India is a participant in there, that we have to strengthen our relationships with other countries by re-entering some of these agreements. And so I see a Biden-Harris administration being a partner to India, being a resource to India. And most importantly, I think the Biden-Harris administration will restore our reputation around the world, which has been clearly damaged by the Trump administration.
Well, a lot of Indians and Indian Americans who are not very keen on Kamala Harris coming to the administration and being part of the U.S. government have started questioning, again, because of the Kashmir issue, because of the human rights issue. And we've seen Republicans, Indians who are supporting the Republican government, also dissing Kamala Harris. What do you have to say about the reactions that you see from the Indian community in America, as also from certain quarters here in India, criticizing Kamala Harris as a choice for Joe Biden's to be Joe Biden's running mate?
Look, I think Senator Harris's record and what she has said in the Senate and done, and you know, her work not only as a senator but as a district attorney and attorney general speaks for itself. I will just reiterate that a Biden-Harris administration is going to be a partner with India and relations going forward. And I think that's just so important to emphasize because we do have an administration that is focused on tearing down some of those relationships and lifting up dictators like Vladimir Putin. That is not what a Biden-Harris administration is going to do. We look forward to being partners with our allies and will continue to do so when hopefully we get elected in November.
Well, it is going to be one of the biggest electoral festivals, so go out and vote like your life depended on it, is what Press Secretary Kamala Harris, Sabrina Singh, tells India Today. Many thanks for joining us, Sabrina. It is going to be a tough, difficult, harsh fight, even caustic in many ways than one, and wishing you all the best in strategizing for Kamala Harris and for Joe Biden.
Thank you for having me. Always a pleasure to be with you.
After Kamala Harris was declared the VP nominee for Democrats in the United States of America, Tamil Nadu in India is soaking in the glory. Her grandfather's village is very proud of her feat, and that's the reason why there are posters that have come up in various parts of Tamil Nadu. More in this report.
The little-known village of Painganadu near Mannargudi in Thiruvarur district is now on the global map. The Democratic candidate for the Vice President's post in the United States traces her roots to this village in Tamil Nadu. Painganadu has a wall of fame which honors sons and daughters of the soil who've made it big in the outside world. And Kamala Harris's name is right up there next to her maternal grandfather, P.V. Gopalan, who was a bureaucrat.
Unfortunately, there are no living relatives in the village presently. And I am the only link between that P.V. Gopalan's family and the temple. Because temple, I happen to be the trustee, and their family deity is this temple, that is Shasta. He is the presiding deity of the temple. As a villager, we all, you must have seen across everywhere they have put up flex banners, and we wish her all success in her endeavor.
Tamil Nadu is soaking in the glory of faraway Kamala Harris. Posters in Tamil lauding a victorious Kamala Harris have surfaced in many places. This one has late AIADMK matriarch Jayalalitha showering her blessings on Kamala. An image tweeted by Kamala's niece Meena Harris showcasing how Tamil Nadu loved the daughter separated by oceans and continents went instantly viral. Kamala Harris has often spoken about her Indian roots, her trips to Tamil Nadu, the walks on the beach with her grandfather, and the soft idlis she relished as a child with mother Shamla Gopalan.
My mother would take my sister Maya and me back to what was then called Madras, because she wanted us to understand where she had come from and where we had ancestry.
When she was fighting for the California Attorney General election, Kamala had called her aunt Sarla Gopalan in Chennai to break coconuts for good luck at a temple in Besant Nagar. Kamala had won that election by a margin of 0.8%. With Akshay Anath in Chennai, Bureau Report, India Today.
Welcome back to World Today. Now, after virtually exhausting its waters of seafood, China is carrying out fishing expeditions in restricted areas of international waters. Environmentalists are worried that this would cause huge threat to sensitive and fragile marine ecosystems. India Today's open source intelligence team dug deep into China's marine expansion. Here's a report.
Incredible life on ocean surface. Smashed in seconds. Nets as tall as a 3-story building. As big as a football field. Dragged on the sea floor to catch highly prized fish. And what they do in the process? Turn the seabed into a wasteland. And China is one of the world's biggest culprits, stripping the ocean across the planet of their precious marine life. From the Persian Gulf to as far as the volcanic Galapagos Islands in the Pacific and Ecuadorian province. Just last month, Ecuador's president issued this message after a 300-strong Chinese fishing fleet came trespassing in. President Lenin Moreno pledged to protect the sea from Chinese bottom trawlers, scraping up everything from the bottom of the ocean. 2 days later, the US Southern Command sounded another alert.
China's distant water fishing fleet is perhaps the largest in the world. They have around 17,000 vessels, including bottom travelers. These are predominantly registered outside China, according to Overseas Development Institute. These fishing fleets often camp in international waters outside countries which have a low per capita income, owing to depleting fish stocks.
The problem also gets widely reported in the South China Sea, where Chinese fishing vessels often get into conflict with boats belonging to South Korea, Vietnam, and Indonesia. China loves seafood. Its consumption on the mainland makes up the world's third, but seas around China have virtually no fish left. And that's why the country sends its giant trawlers in the high seas for the lucrative catch. Environmentalists have long raised concerns about the apocalyptic damage bottom trawling in general inflicts on ocean life across the planet.
Lockdowns around the world have given us a glimpse of what happens when we leave nature alone. The health of the ocean, the climate, and all life on Earth is interlinked. Protecting the biodiversity of the deep sea protects us all.
According to the Food and Agriculture Organization of the UN, China is projected to account for 38% of the global marine catch by 2030. The method being as devastating as bottom trawling.
Countries like China will continue to rob off world's oceans until fleeting international regulations are in place. As of today, only a few countries regulate bottom trawling, which is definitely not enough. With camera person Hamza Varsha, this is Cyclone Kannan from Singapore for India Today.
While the rush for COVID-19 vaccine continues, last week we discussed the first registered vaccine for COVID-19. This time, let's listen in to the man behind the Sputnik vaccine. This is an India Today exclusive. Joining me is Kirill Dmitriev, the Chief Executive Officer of Russia Direct Investment Fund, RDIF, one of the world's largest sovereign funds, also funding the biggest research of the vaccine that Russia registered, world's first vaccine for COVID-19. Speaking about India, Dr. Venkatesh Verma, the Indian envoy to Russia, had a meeting with you. How did that meeting go? What was the conversation? And did India officially put in a request to procure the vaccine? We know we're given to understand that there are 20 countries and India is amongst one of them. Was a formal request made, and what was the conversation?
Yeah. So, Gita, you have a great ambassador, very thoughtful ambassador. So he first asked lots of very thoughtful, very deep questions about the science of the vaccine, about our vaccine platform, and we were given some answers. And we also saw some comments by Prime Minister Modi that India is open to consider Russian vaccine. And of course, we need to prove it to Indian regulators. That's why we are open to have clinical trials in India as well. But we believe that we can have a major partnership with India, not just on procurement of Russian vaccine, because I think India will also have its vaccine soon. I think India will be producing some other vaccines. But really, India and Russia can partner on producing the Russian vaccine, because you have the best production vaccine capability, frankly, of many countries in the world. And this made in India approach to produce Russian vaccine, to produce other vaccines, I think will really make India a big hub for vaccine production in the world. And I think India will play a huge role in fighting coronavirus epidemics, not only by procuring and making own vaccine, but also for producing other countries' vaccines using its great companies that it has.
Well, that's a very important point. The fact that it's not just about procurement, but also about manufacturing, and Indian government will be very glad to hear Make in India. In terms of manufacturing, Kirill, is there any conversation that moved forward with the Indian government or the manufacturers in India as to how the two countries want to go about manufacturing in India? Is there a proposal in place?
Yes, so we are talking to some of the people in Indian government about this, and we are in very deep discussions with 3 of the top Indian producers, and we are willing to share technology so that India can produce. And once again, I think Prime Minister Modi's Make in India program is very important, and its wisdom is shown specifically in vaccine capability that India developed. As I mentioned, you have some of the best vaccine capability in the world, and I think having a production of several vaccines is very important because we have huge demand for our vaccine. We cannot satisfy it just by producing in Russia, and India and Russia, as we've been partners for a long time, can really be great partners on vaccine production and supplying Russian vaccine to the rest of the world.
Is there any component in the vaccine that needs to be acquired from any other country, like China? Is there any component in it that requires procurement from a third country?
Well, I think the production process is always, involves lots of different components. And of course, there will be some international components as well. But we feel that India has all of the necessary components, all of the necessary capabilities. Once again, India is definitely in the top 5 countries in the world on vaccine production capability. And I think it's wisdom of your government to have invested in these production capabilities before. It's really wisdom of your companies to have developed this before. And the world is very impressed, not only by your pandemic response, which has been very good and really protected India very well, but also the role India can play to be the hub for vaccine manufacturing and basically playing a big role in saving the world. And as I said, I'm not talking just about Russian vaccine. It's also about, other vaccines. We need many vaccines. We need many countries to produce lots of vaccines because the demand in the world is huge. And Russia vaccine is just one of the answers to that.
Well, that's the Chief Executive Officer of RDIF, one of the world's largest sovereign funds, Kirill Dmitriev, speaking exclusively to India Today. Many thanks for joining us, Kirill. Hoping all the success for the vaccine and ensuring that the world is a better and safer place past this COVID-19 pandemic. Many thanks for joining us here in India Today, the first Indian news channel where you've spoken. And here are some other stories doing the rounds from across the world in World at a Glance. Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny is in coma and is on life support after he fell ill from alleged poisoning during a flight. He was going to Moscow when his plane made an emergency landing after he fell ill. United Nations condemned the military coup in Mali after President Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta was forced to resign. UN too demanded the immediate release of all government officials and restoration of the constitution. The Three Gorges Reservoir in China's Hubei province is expected to be flooded since it started to hold water in 2003. The Yangtze River, China's longest waterway, recorded its 5th flood of the year. The 71-meter-tall Buddha statue in Lishan city is partially submerged in water. Australia signed a deal with AstraZeneca to produce a COVID-19 vaccine which will be provided cost-free to its citizens. All Australians will be offered doses, but a medical panel will determine the priority list of vaccine recipients. Pakistani Railway Minister Sheikh Rashid, known for his provocative statements against India, made yet another nuclear threat, but in a bizarre claim said Pak nukes would not kill Indian Muslims. That's all in this week's edition of World Today. Next week, we'll bring you yet another in-depth analysis of a story that impacts us all. Goodbye and take care.
Hi everyone, Preeti Chaudhary here. Hope you like this video. For latest news and analysis, like and subscribe to the India Today YouTube channel. And don't forget to press the bell icon to stay updated. Thank you for watching.